Hello. So in this episode, I'll show you these 4 things written in here. So let's go and create our own blank module. In the update of this modding tool, there's a create new module here. So I'm gonna create new settlement module. Create, but since I have already created it recently, so that this is already activated in the game during save as, let's say I can choose this as a save point after I edit a settlement. So now let's open the the scene object, main map, and the scene X scene here. So while it's loading, see here that the created module is blank, and in the submodule you can see here that everything is here, even the names. You can remove things here so that you can raise it higher in the loading order. It is necessary if you override some things. So here, let's start in creating settlements and terrain editing. I have prepared the settlements XML. Here, I made one town and one village from Sturgia. The S here stands for Sturgia. Same with the town, Aserai, Batania, Landia, and so on. So I'm gonna copy the town S1, duplicate it, and rename it into town S11. I'm gonna place it somewhere very dense with tree. So see here that if I drag this, the height of the tower remains the same. See the villages and or the town in here, the buildings in here adjust with the elevation of the ground. When I press P, see here the Z, it is changing depending on the height of where I point. So G and P has its uses. And in here you see that this is submerged because this is the reference. So we need to either increase its height and then I'm gonna fill the land here using terrain editing. Let's say I'm gonna raise it. Weight is 0.5. This is high. So let's make it half. I press Ctrl Z. The trees are gone, but it's still there. So if I edit this, you see that the trees appeared. And this is a very rough edit, but you can smoothen it. I'm gonna use 10 weight. You can adjust the area with the scroll mouse or the mouse wheel and just hold it once. Or if you are satisfied with the result, then press this, the select entities, press this and press G so that and move a little so that the villages inside will be adjusted. Now let's press this. We can now take the position from here instead of opening our scene scene from the previous video. So I'm gonna paste it here. Save. And the gate position, you don't need to take it from the game using console. From here, this is the gate, which is town gate. Sometimes this is negative, so that means the gate is somewhere off the world, somewhere here. So if that happens, just press G and move it a little, and you'll see that it will be level to the ground. Press save, and then let's go create our sample village. Let's just copy this as our sample, duplicate, and then place it somewhere near. So in case you want to adjust the props, for example, it was submerged here, you can adjust it. You cannot expand it here because you are in a filter mode. So let's remove it. Now you can expand it. Let's select the props and press T for the elevation. That is just a sample. The two here is invisible. I think it is related with the village level or its heart. The heart here. So let's say this is done. Now you can add this decal by duplicating it, or if you duplicate this, for example, I move this one, every decal of the Sturgia will be moved. So better make this a single one from the prefabs. If this is not visible, you can see here the prefabs window and search for the map decal, and you'll see here that there's an under village and there's an desert. So I think it's better to have this under village instead. Now this is pretty much done, but the position of the village is still not matching. So save. Now let's go to our mesh editing or navigation mesh. You see here that this is a web of mesh. I don't know what to do here at first, so I asked in the forum about how to make a terrain accessible, and this guy is awesome because he told me everything I need to know. I will link this to the description. So in here, if I press 3, I'll be going to the face mesh edit mode. If I press 2, edge editing, press 1, vertex editing. This is the vertex, this is the edge, and this is the face. See here that this is 1, this is 4, this is the ID, which is also stated here. The 1 is for plain, 4 is for forest. So we need the 14th one, the rural area. Let's take a sample here. So this is the rural area 14. Let's press 1 again, and let's make a collision for this town. By pressing 2, I will delete this. Because this is a forest, I can just, let's say, move it. Pressing 1. For example, you want to remove the trees here in the paint terrain layer. You can use erase. If this is not effective, then that means this is the one you need. It will delete trees in that area of the circle. For example, I'm gonna one press this. So pressing once will remove something, but not all. So if I hold it and then release, it is deleted all. So I'm gonna control Z, but this is just a sample, so it's okay if I make a mess here. I have crashed, so I need to create it from the scratch. And because I have the position here, I have easily determined the original position of my original work. So now, let's go to navigation mesh. I'm gonna select this using edge editing and delete this. I'm gonna move this using vertex. I can just align this from the settlement, but it's not a good idea since this is a forest. So if I drag this here, then this area here will become forest, even if it's not. Same here, this is a mountain, so this is not accessible. So if I drag it here, then I just made this area not accessible at all. You see here that this is color pink. This means that your mesh is not, or its normal is facing the wrong direction. Because of this, it's not a square. So if that's a square, then it's not acceptable. I'm gonna return it here. There's a control here, the WASD, but using W and S will make it forward and backward. So there's a way to move it front or upward and downward using E and Q. So this is especially useful during editing of Navmesh. So let's get back here. The closer the Navmesh or your mesh to the ground, the better, the more accurate. So I'm gonna create a new face here. See here that there's a square. I'm gonna fill this settlement with the mesh. So see here, this is a rough detail. So if in edge editing, I can subdivide this, I can now move or make more shape. Maybe this is fine, or so I thought. Now if you want to see if this is fine, just make it lower and you'll see that this is still not good. Maybe I just have to delete these two. And if you are satisfied, you can just raise this back. This is the face editing mode. And I'm gonna use the triad to raise it. Maybe a little too high. Now I'm gonna connect this because this is not accessible. The nav mesh determines which is passable and which is not. So in here, I'm gonna delete these two. So in here, I'm gonna select 4. You should make a square as much as you can. That has something to do with topology, but I'm not a modeler, or what do you call it? A 3D expert. I'm not one of those, but they said that it's better to have square than triangle, but there's a use for a triangle in game. This is a mountain, so I have no choice but to create a triangle here. Now, if I press 3, you see that this is all unassigned 0. So I'm gonna press this. I'm gonna make this a plane. But in here, you'll see here that this is a forest. So I'm gonna make it for forest. So now this is a forest. And in here, this is still 0. This is not accessible. But we want to make it a rural area. So now, this is 14. The same with here. Now let's disable the Navmesh by select entities, and let's sample one bridge here. You want to make a bridge somewhere, so just copy it, duplicate, and paste it here. Now in rotation, you have a free rotate here. Unlike here, you have a lock. Just for the sample, we will make this like this. And then, in our Navmesh, let's just experiment with here. I haven't saved this work, by the way, so if this crashed, I will need to recreate it again from the scratch. See here that this is 11, but this is 11 too. I'm gonna make this like this 6. Is this 6? Yes, this is 6. Do not be confused with the mountain. This is 7. Same color with this. And let's save. I made a mistake here. I have saved it from my own or my original game. So I just broke my own files. But luckily, I have a backup. So my tip is, maybe after you load the scene object of the sandbox, maybe just save as it into your module. I'll show you how after this save. So in saving, press save scene as. Let's name this main map, the same as where we took it. Now this is our mod, new settlements. Let's go to the new settlements here. Scene object, main map. This is empty. Also the scene edit data. This is empty. Scene edit data contains the terrain we edit. So let's just wait with this. So see here that this appeared here. Also in our scene object. Now the file is 332 MB from KB to MB. Now this is saved. We just have to leave it and test in game what we did. Let's go into our created settlement here. You'll see here that this is brighter than this and bigger. So maybe it was better to copy this here. But anyway, The town looks fine. Some are very rough, but it's alright. If I go here, you'll see that the town has a collision box. You cannot walk through it or somehow not pass through it. Now let's go to our... Where did I put it? It was on Aserai village. See here? Is this what I made? Or this one? It is passing through. But we can now travel here. Let's say I have stretched the... See here that you cannot pass through here. But what if I stretch the Navmesh here until here and here? Then you can now travel there. Just assign it to be the steep or a plane if you want. So I have to apply later my backup. I broke my game. So that concludes our tutorial. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't and see my other tutorial in the future. So you see here that there's a ship here.